on a relatively positive Monday afternoon, at least for U.S.
because
equities.
You're back, Romaine. Welcome back.
Thank you, Tim.
He brought the.
I was in your neck of the woods, Tim, out there in California.
I was out there too. Why didn't we hang out?
What?
I was out there the whole week.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
You were in Northern
you
California
see how close we are.
too, weren't you?
I was. I probably drove past the Stenovic household.
This is a little messed up because I was also out there.
Okay.
We were like ships passing.
All right, we need to talk after the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carol, I have no idea where you were.
You guys got to get your people to talk to each other so that you guys go out for a drink or something. I'm here and...
I know. You know how much you could have saved on a hotel if I just could have crashed at Tim's house?
Yeah, you probably would have called and just got his voicemail. I'm just going to say. No. Hey, what an interesting day. Futures were higher. We saw the market open higher. We saw momentum build, and we saw some buying into the close. So a positive day. We'll see whether or not it holds into the rest of the week.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's buying everything today. Bitcoin's even higher by 4%. You got Ethereum higher by 5%. XRP up 2.8%. It's not just equities. We're also seeing buying in crypto.
And everyone's looking past the manufacturing data that showed manufacturing contraction, also an increase in materials costs, which points to stagflation, kind of echoing what the Fed had indicated in its latest economic projections. But it's a worry for another day, I guess.
Yeah, and I'll just say it again. Looking at the Russell 2000, for example, the best day since November 6th. That ain't nothing from the day of the last election.
Yeah, and there are going to be a lot of superlatives here as we get the closing bell. You were pointing out early the Mag 7 as a group having their best day since, I believe, January. Discretionary stocks, consumer discretionary stocks, best day since 2022, believe it or not. That's a big part of the reason why you're seeing the S&P up almost 100 points or about 1.8% here on the day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up more than almost 600 points or about 1.4% here on the day, while the Nasdaq Composite is going to close out the day up about 2.3%. And the Russell 2000 getting in on the party and, more importantly, leading the party, a melon party, up 2.5%.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. S&P 500, guys, most names in the S&P 500 higher today. Scarlett, 424 to the upside, 78 losing ground today.
All right, let's show you the IMAP because it's pretty a pretty basic IMAP here. All green, with the exception of utilities, little changed on the day. And as Romaine mentioned, consumer discretionary really in the driver's seat, up 4% as a group led by those auto companies. Communication services also gaining about 2%. And industrials in third place, up 1.9%.
It's not just auto companies, it's Deckers. Don't they make those like ugly shoes you like?
The Uggs, yes, they do.
Yeah.
Wow, harsh shade.
That's okay. He already shames me on the Birkenstocks, so this just goes with the territory.
If you have bad feet, you need the Birks, all right?
I think Romaine wears Birkenstocks with socks on the weekend.
100% does not.
Oh, come on. All right, let's get to some of the individual gainers, guys. Tesla finishing just off its best levels of the session, but still up about 12% here in today's trade. Number one gainer in both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, and leading really gains among the Magnificent Seven, as we talked about that whole group higher in today's session. I think just a sign that the risk on trade, is back on, but we've seen Tesla up several days in a row. So some upward momentum certainly in that one continuing. FedEx also a gainer in today's session, up about 5%. Reported earnings last week. Stock dropped when it reported earnings and cut its outlook again amid economic worries. Well, the economic bellwether actually rallying today. Jefferies turned bullish, confident in the company's ability to continue to grow earnings regardless of top line trends as it executes on its cost-cutting plan. So investors liking that news and moving into that one. United Airlines up pretty much at its best levels of the session, up more than 7%, was a top gainer too in the S&P 500. United will begin charging customers more to access its airport lounges to help combat a rise in overcrowding since the pandemic. We're going to talk a little bit more about this when we get into some of the stories on our radar, but we'll get into exactly what they're going to charge for that. But nonetheless, this was a big-time outperformer today.
There was some good gainers today, Carol.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Occasionally I get it right.
Hard to find decliners today. I actually had to go abroad to find some decliners because the U.S. market was so strong today. I do want to start with Supermicro Computer in the S&P 500. Shares did fall after Goldman Sachs cut their recommendation on the company to sell from neutral. As of the last close, though, the stock is up 38% so far this year, falling today by about 1%. And then Novo Nordisk, ADRs of Novo Nordisk here in the U.S. fell by 2%. It has been unseated as Europe's most valuable public company now. SAP, the German software developer, is on top. Novo lost the top spot in Europe after its shares roughly halved since reaching a record high. That was back in June of last year. The stock got another blow today after Intron health analysts downgraded their recommendation to sell from buy. And finally, to Brazil we go, where we find Embraer. ERJ US are the ADRs here, down 6% today. Wolf Research out with a note cutting its recommendation on the company to peer perform from outperform. Once again, shares down by about 6% today.
Do you have any Asian stocks on there?
No, not today.
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow.
All right.
Maybe next time.
You covered like 3 continents. So that's
I know.
pretty good.
People are buying
It was
overseas.
kind of grim for decliners here, guys. You know this.
All right, talk about decliners. Let's go to the bond market. It was selling pretty severe, pretty much all across the curve. Whether you look at the 2-year, 8 basis points, or the 10-year, also 8 basis points. And we have $69 billion worth of 2-year coming on tomorrow. And we have the economic data. Ira Jersey, Bloomberg Intelligence, says he thinks the takedown is going to be pretty good for the 2-year. And we get 5 and 7s later on today as well. He said you'd have to double the yield for you to lose money in the 2-year if you bought it right now.
Yeah, wow.
That's a lot.
I'm sorry, though. Can we just go back to something that Carol was talking about? Because she was talking about United Airlines, the stock rallying on these lounges things. I mean, you might be in trouble. But here's the thing. So you're saying, so United has finally recognized what we've all known for years now, which is these things are way too crowded, these airport lounges. So now they're going to raise the standards to get in there, right? The price or the miles that you need to get in there. And is that, in theory, that's going to drop the number of people?
Supposedly.
Or limit the number of people.
Amex
but they're only raising it from like $650 to $750, so it's like basically $100 difference.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you use lounges, Carol Massar? You probably like to sit out.
I think I've traveled with you and seen you in a lounge.
Yes, actually, yeah, that is true.
Holding court in the lounge. I think I've seen you doing that.
Is true.
Well, I think Amex maybe last year or the year before changed their policy with the platinum card because too many people were getting in. So now you have to spend, I don't know, like a lot of money, $70,000 or $80,000 a year on one of the cards in order to get guest passes.
Thank God.
For free.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these things, like everything else in life, is getting more and more crowded, and there's a willingness to pay for people. So we'll see if it actually makes a difference. But I think that it could be tough to decrease the crowd.
But increasing the fees from 650 to 750 is just 100 more, but it keeps some of the riffraff out, and it's the starting phase of increasing more, right? Oh my God, I can't believe I high-fived him on that. But no, the idea being that once you start raising prices, you kind of set the precedent for doing it again and again and again. At some point, it'll get to the level of folks that Remain is comfortable with.
Airlines.
Wow. You guys.
What will that be?
All I have to say is I spent a lot of money on my Amex, and my husband gets the perks because there's some weird sexist thing that it's like under his name and not mine, and it's very upsetting. So he can get to the Delta Lounge, and I can't. But I do all the work.
Wow.
Yeah. Harsh words.
Drama in the Steel House.
Yes.
Wow.
It's riffraff there.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody needs a laugh, we're going to move on to this. Great story. And I have to really credit Tim because he's like, you got to check this out. Do this as a gainer because initially this stock was really high in the pre-market. I think up like 16%. It was up more than 2% in today's session, I think finishing the day little change. We're talking about Primo Brands, and they are home to Saratoga Spring Water. And an influencer by the name of Ashton Hall has put out a video, and I can't believe we're not going to show it because it's really.
Have you seen? You guys have all seen this, right?
funny.
In
No.
the memes over the weekend.
Wait, this is the blue water bottle,
Yeah,
right?
so-
the blue
Yes.
glass water bottle.
Yes.
So can I just say I saw this while I was on vacation. I had no idea what the whole point was, but I saw it just took over everywhere. I mean, I was more
But you've
focused
created
on.
your own
I was more
version
focused
of
on
it,
the fact
right?
that this guy apparently
He's trying to get into the
He
lounge.
looks way better than me on my body. So I was like, so I can drink this water and look like him.
670 million views as of this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, these videos. It shows sort of his routine, and the routine involves a very strategically placed bottle of Saratoga mineral water. And apparently investors, at least earlier in the session today, thought, okay, maybe this would lead to some sort of sale. A lot of memes over the weekend of people going out and buying bananas, filling up buckets of ice.
I'm sorry, I just have a question. Was what he did, the original video, was that supposed to be a joke or was he serious?
That's a question for
Because if he was serious, I have some concerns.
it looked pretty serious to me. Let's just say that.
Because he's like dipping his face in cold water. He's putting on a little thing on his nose.
Hey, but those are for your pores.
You rub the
It's
banana
important.
peel all over your face. Did you see that
He's
part?
investing in his
I
face.
did see that.
Okay, good.
I assume this guy has no wife and kids or any sort of responsibilities other than just taking care of his
There was
body.
a woman's hand that came in at one point and put a bottle down, I think.
I
of
did see
sour
that.
spring, so
His assistant.
little piece.
I'm still watching it, guys, so I'll get back to
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I did.
Oh, here's the banana. Okay, I get it now.
No, don't fall for
right.
that banana in the tailpipe.
All right, on that note, we're going to move along. All right, that's a wrap. Our
We've gone off the
cross-platform-
rails. Remember we used to always go off the rails here on Beyond the Bell or wherever we're calling this?
We used to. We
yeah.
used to.
Nowadays.
I don't know, closing
I don't know.
bell,
You're bringing us down,
whatever.
Carol.
Yeah, I know. All right, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform coverage of the close on radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. Folks, good to have Romaine back. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow. I know Alex is going to head out. She's going to continue watching that TikTok video. Scarlett and Romaine continue on TV.